In Voodoo Lounge, we have the Stones entering the 90s and with a bang, with Bill Wyman stepping down on bass and Darryl Jones in, and producer Don Was joining the team. This was a brand new start for the Stones, and Voodoo Lounge perfectly crystallizes all that. As we celebrate the album's 30th anniversary, it's time to dive back in and revisit this one and celebrate this album's uniqueness. And with that, without further ado, welcome to the Voodoo Lounge. Among later-era Stones albums, Voodoo Lounge often is overlooked and misunderstood by many fans. Released in 1994, the album has sort of slipped off people's radar, despite having won a Grammy for Best Rock Album. Just like all the Stones' best works, Voodoo Lounge is a collection of different genres and different textures, and with a good dose of experimentation as well. As I've said countless times on this channel, every single Stones album has something of value, and Voodoo Lounge is no exception. There are some fine performances here, and each band member gets their own time to shine on different parts of the album. Secondly, this album represents a truly collaborative effort between Jagger and Richards. As our friend Scott Glupo says, the best Stone songs are the ones that Keith starts and Jagger finishes. And Voodoo Lounge has a bunch of them. The album kicks off with such a high note because we have here the first of many of what Keith calls 50-50 hybrids, where, like I said earlier, songs that the Jagger-Richards team worked together on very tightly. And with Love Is Strong, we have what is easily their best lead single from the post-Wyman years. It's just a flat-out classic the moment it starts. I mentioned earlier that this album is filled with great performances, and here is evidence A of that. From Mick's slinky, very deep vocal and perfect harmonica placement in the song, and Keith's very understated riff with Charlie hanging back, laying down that foundation. It's an absolute classic Stones vibe that's very unique and nothing like they've done before. The song just oozes out of your speakers, and it's just an instant classic.
A glimpse of you was all it took. A stranger's glance, it got me hooked. I thought of you across the stars. I look for you in seedy bars. I am scared, baby. It's more than just a dream. I need some time. We make a beautiful team. A beautiful team. We're love strong.
I remember reading a while back that Mick really liked Keith's song Wicked As It Seems off his solo album from the previous year. And if you take a listen to Wicked As It Seems and Love Is Strong back to back, I think you'll hear a connection.
Just as wicked as your love is strong.
Kicking off the second song on the album, You Got Me Rocking, and it kicks off with a thunderous performance by Charlie Watts. I mean, he just grabs you from the moment. It's actually a Keith-Charlie sandwich right at the top of that song. Here is the first instance of some of that experimentation that I was talking about earlier, because you see, You Got Me Rocking is one of a few songs on this album where Charlie recorded them in a stairwell at the Windmill Studios where they were recording Voodoo Lounge. Apparently, the stairwell produced a very cavernous and huge sound, and Charlie liked it and wanted to play a lot of the songs in that stairwell to produce this sound. And they captured it on a few of the tracks on this album, and this is one of them, You Got Me Rocking. If you take a listen to those drums, it sounds like he's in a cave, and it's incredible. It's this thunderous, huge mountain of a sound, and already you just go, oh, something's a bit different here, and it's just such an ear candy for me to listen to that. The lyrics and the song itself, silly. I mean, it's not going to change the world. But like I said, the performances here for me are just too good to pass up. Everyone is firing all cylinders. Mick is delivering the hell out of this song, ripping his throat up to give one of his best performances. And like I said, Charlie is such a focus. And to hear Ronnie's great slide work, to me, the music and the energy of this song really just overtakes you. And it's just a great party track. And it was a favor for them to play on stage all those years, but I don't think they ever matched the tightness of that studio track. And now with track 3, Sparks Will Fly, this really concludes the Charlie and Keith show, at least for this part of the album, where they really dominate this first part of the album because of this tight sound that they're creating on each of the songs. And Sparks Will Fly apparently was a song that Keith and Charlie worked very hard, as Keith says, eye to eye. Apparently the story, according to Keith, was he was out tending to a fire in the backyard. Sparks were flying. He liked the sound of that, ran into the studio, grabbed Charlie and said, hey, let's work on it. And apparently it was another one of those hybrids where Keith had the chorus, Mick really filled out the verses, and Charlie really gave the foundation of the song. So it was never a personal favorite of mine, this song, but it's an irresistible chemistry that goes on here. Charlie and Keith are just so lined up and so tight that it's really just this runaway train. And what I love about this track, and even on You Got Me Rocking, is that for a very big rock song that, you know, has heavy electric guitars, throughout the song there are a lot of acoustic overdubs that really add texture and a little bit of this fairy dust to the top of these guitars, and it's a nice touch to keep the song interesting and to keep it a little bit more rootsy too.
Sparks will fly. Hey!
Speaking of acoustic guitars, track 4 is already the first moment to kind of bring things down, and it's Keith's acoustic guitar that really starts off The Worst, which it's an ironic title because The Worst really is one of Keith's best songs, probably since You Got the Silver. It's right up there, a great performance, but just a great song. Like I said, from the first, I'm the worst kind of guy for you to be around. I mean, that's a good line. And just a great country vibe with Ronnie playing this fantastic pedal steel, which apparently it was at Keith's suggestion after a fun jam session with Jerry Lee Lewis, who apparently came by and jammed with them. And Ronnie had the pedal steel out, and while it was out, Keith said, hey, why don't you stick some pedal steel on The Worst? And that's what we have there. and a wonderful touch to have the fiddle on this track, played by Frankie Gavin. And even after those three powerhouse rock songs at the very top, we're now entering this new texture with some beautiful acoustic guitars and a very subdued country vibe. And the cherry on top, some great harmonies here by Mick and Keith. Like I've said before, the Mick and Keith vocal blend, criminally underrated.
Somewhere outside our true lover's side now, it's a tragedy.
As we move on to track 5, New Faces continues to push into more interesting areas that you wouldn't expect considering how the album had started.
And his skin is so fair, and it shines like his hair, as he stands so aloof, with an indolent air and an insolent stare that just shudders the truth. Well, well, is it ringing your bell? My heart is breaking in two. Well, well, he'll be rotting in hell for playing the devil with you. Is it already too late? No point shutting the gate. Already swallowed the bait and you're gone.
Here on New Faces, it's yet another completely different vibe. And if you're hearing echoes of Between the Buttons and specifically, obviously, Lady Jane, you're not far off. There was that floating around in the air that apparently Keith was latching on to when they were writing this. So he admits he was probably in some kind of Lady Jane mood. And it makes for a very interesting moment here because you have this harpsichord that starts the song off, but blending with Keith's acoustic guitars, it really is this very folky Elizabethan sound that just comes out of nowhere. And it's such a nice touch, actually, because you think you know where this album is going, but then yet another curveball. And with Moon Is Up, they're continuing to push even further because right as the song starts, you're confused. Like, what is going on here? Charlie starts off the track, but that doesn't sound like a drum. That doesn't sound like a snare. It kind of sounds like a garbage can or a garbage pail, and it is. That's Charlie playing a trash can, apparently, again, in that stairwell at Windmill Studios. So you combine a trash can and a very echoey, reverby hallway stairwell, and you have this sound. And you combine that with like Ronnie's wah-wah pedal steel performance and mix harmonica. It's a track like nothing else in the Stones catalog, period. I wish the lyrics were a little bit better, but still, you can't keep your ears off it. Some cool guests on this track from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Ben Montence joins them on organ. And on backing vocals, Ronnie's good friend Bobby Womack. Pretty cool. I know a lot of people who roll their eyes on Moon Is Up, but I love it. I like that it's fresh and it sounds like nothing else in the Stones catalog. And for me, I always give the Stones points for trying something different. that was Out of Tears, which was the album's third single, the first being Love Is Strong, and then You Got Me Rocking. Out of Tears is the big ballad of the album, and it's really a big moment. It's a very melodic track, and it really showcases a very great Mick delivering something very emotional and very melodic, which I think, this album could need just to even out the bigger rock songs. But it's a nice come down from a lot of the weird and experimental places we've been up to this point. It kind of settles the energy again. And it was a song that Mick wrote primarily on piano, that he gave the piano part to Chuck Leavell, who plays it on the recording. And Ronnie plays a very good slide part on this song. Overall, it's not been a song that I like to revisit a whole lot myself, but I'm always attracted to the melody and the performance aspect of it. Regardless of how I feel about it, I know it was a fan favorite, and the song itself did very well since it reached number 2 on Billboard's U.S. mainstream rock charts. And that closes side B. The album is just getting started. We have a lot more to go. Now, I know this album was generally released and enjoyed as a CD when it was released in '94, but if you put Voodoo Lounge on vinyl, you're going to notice that it's technically a double album. So that's the setting we're going to be looking at for these videos. So come back next time as we look at side C and D of Voodoo Lounge. But as of right now, what did you think of Voodoo Lounge when it first came out? Did you like it? Or have you not heard it in a while and you're going to revisit it? Well, I'd love to know. Put it in the comments below. Make sure you hit subscribe because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming as we celebrate Voodoo Lounge's 30th anniversary. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Hangfire.